Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I was going to talk to you today about the energy of things. Um, I can see energy. I'm sure if you meditate, you can see energy. It's a bit like the color behind your eyes if you are meditating with your eyes closed. And so I was going to talk to you about the energy of inanimate objects. But the Morrigan has some other ideas. So we're going to talk to the Morrigan today. But it was pertinent to what I was going to talk to you about. So, the reason I was going to talk to you about the energy of objects is because there's one particular object that doesn't appear to have any residual energy. And this is quite important. Now, obviously, things like this is my wassailing bowl, my wassailing bowl. This is white birch. This has been a living thing. And so it has residual energy. However, as well as people, our auras, whatever, animals, you can see the residual energy. Things like this that are also made of metal have residual energy, even though they've not been a living thing, because they're made from ore, they're made from stone, they're made from the earth. They are made, therefore, from particles of space and stars. They have residual energy. However, the only object I have ever found that does not have residual energy is one of these. Now, not necessarily this make, any make of smartphone. They do not show any residual energy. They appear like a void. And this had played on my mind for some time. And I had meditated on it. Why might that be? Is it because they were somehow bad in some way? Is it because they were almost like antimatter? Is it because they had a negative vibration? And today the answer came that no, it's none of those things. The reason that they do not have residual energy is because they are pure potential. They are what you make of them. They require our input to become a frequency. A bit like a portal. And I guess in a way they are, in the sense that we bring into them whatever we access in them. And therefore, they take on that energy in that moment. And that led me on to discernment and choosing what you interact with and choosing what energies you align yourself with. Obviously, you can use your discernment if you're watching something on YouTube, for instance, and on your phone, and it makes you feel uncomfortable, or you realize it's toxic, whether that's toxic negativity or toxic positivity. If it's not resonating with you, you should stop watching it. And so that in itself, that level of discernment determines the frequency of your little handheld portal. And when you look at the energy of a smartphone, it literally appears like a void shaped like the phone energetically. And this is where the Morrigan came in and said, oh, can we talk about this? So that's what we're going to do. Not specifically in the relation to the phone, because this brought me and the Morrigan on to the void. Now, this has been coming up a lot at the moment with the spiritual community talking about timeline splits and, you being on the timeline of the frequency you manifest and, observing but not absorbing negative energy of watching the fear or feeling fear with curiosity, but not letting it permeate your energy. And all this is true and important. However, the void, the creation. A lot of people think that these are negative. And what the Morrigan was saying is they're balanced. They are a purely an open field of possibility. They are what you make them. And then she brought up the fact of how this was so important right now. And she drew me to the astrology. Now, I'm not an astrologer. I'm quite interested in it. I recognize, I see it as a map. I can see its influence in my own life, not just every day, but in my natal chart. It resonates so much that, it's proven to me that it is relevant and it is true. And I can't deny that. But I'm not an astrologer. But the Morrigan said to me, look at the astrology about the void and creation and why you're thinking about your mobile phone today not having any smartphones, particularly not having any visible aura or energy, and every other inanimate object having that, and why that might be. And so I had a look at the astrology today. And interestingly, the asteroid Chaos, which is the goddess Chaos, who is the goddess of all creation immediately after the void. So, first of all, there was the void, all potential, whether you're a scientist and you believe in the Big Bang Theory, whether you're follow Abrahamic religions, whether you are a Hindu, whether you follow shamanic or Aboriginal traditions, whether you're a pagan, all those elements, all those factors, all believe in the time before creation, whether it's the dream time of nothingness, whether it is the moment before the Big Bang, whether it is before Genesis. There was a time where there was nothing. But the Morrigan's saying it wasn't nothing, it was everything. It was pure potential. And this is what she wants to talk about today. So, the asteroid Chaos has just entered Cancer. Cancer is the mother, the protective shell, the hand from which you are held the seed to create, the oyster in which the pearl grows. And Jupiter is also there, and Jupiter magnifies massively. So we have an asteroid that is representative of the very moment after, or the very moment of the Big Bang. She is the moment of creation of all the things, from potential, from the void. So you have this idea of we were creating from all potential. Now we have moved into a time of all the elements being there and us being able to create from tangible things that are present for us. It's almost like we're not having to hold the frequency in order to create it ourselves from nothing, to hold the vibration in order to manifest that. It's all there. Like in the Rider-Waite Tarot, the magician has all the elements at their disposal and they can choose what to weave from it. All the threads are there. that is the point that we have moved into today. And Jupiter is magnifying that. So there's this huge potential, but it is a potential for good or bad. It's almost like the moment before decision, but not indecision. It's almost like you're in a sweet shop and all the bottles and jars are before you and you've not yet picked. You're just listening to yourself to decide what it is you're going to say that you want. And also, between Jupiter and the asteroid Chaos, that was the first thing created before any of the gods, is Pythia, the Oracle of Delphi, which is the asteroid Pythia. So, prophecy. And between Chaos, Pythia, and Jupiter, magnifying, is the dog star, is the North Star, is the star of Sirius. Now, this is following our North Star, orientating ourselves, listening to your inner guide, following your true path. Any of you who have the Wildwood Tarot will know that pole star card as not so much divine guidance, but inner guidance. So today, astrologically, there's this huge potential, but it is the potential of the moment of creation, the explosion of everything. And this is what the Morrigan brought to mind when I was thinking about the void of energy that was my phone, about not being afraid of the void, how it's potential, and how it almost feels more frightening and more out of control when that moment happens of explosion, where you can see and feel the potential happening, but it hasn't yet taken tangible or meaningful form. And then she drew my attention to her prophecy. Now, some of you may not know this, some of you will. The Morrigan made a prophecy at the second battle, at the end of the second battle of Moytura. And this is what she said. She said, "Peace to the sky, sky above earth, earth below sky, as above, so below. Strength in one each, a cup overflowing, full of honey, mead in plenty, summer in winter, spear upon shield, shield on a warrior, a fort bold and fierce. Grieving cries are ended, fleece from a sheep, crops on trees, a branch resting, heavy with produce, the wealth of sons, a son under patronage on the neck of a bull of magical poetry, knots in trees, trees for fire, fire when wished for earth, a memorial stone, a dwelling surrounded by prosperity, green growth in the air, in spring and in autumn, crops abound, held secure the land, land as far as the shore, surrounded by a foreshore fair, with ever sturdy woodlands. Have you any news? Peace up to the sky. It will be eternal peace." Now, some people interpret this as peace to the sky and back down again. This is a prophecy of abundance, of ease, of peacefulness, of safety, of security. Now, this was largely believed to be a prophecy for the tribes of Ireland who had won this battle. However, the Morrigan is drawing my attention to it today as the potential of this moment. What she said to me was that this was a moment where we had to not hold our frequency, we had to actively create and battle and hold in our minds what we want. She was very urgently expressing to me that not only in our material lives did we have to quite aggressively cut away things that did not make us happy or that made us feel drained, cut them loose, let them go, give up on them. But also that we had to battle. She was using the term battle for what we wanted. Things that, and they didn't have to be material things, not battle for this next job or battle. She's saying that's so, that's so last year. She means battle for happiness, battle for space and time, battle for contentment, for comfort, defend your rest periods. She was really, it was very personal and energetic, that what she wanted you to defend, to create, to battle for, to fight for yourself. And so I asked her to pick some tarot decks and oracle decks to work with. Now, I've got quite a few Morrigan decks, crow decks. She didn't pick any of them. She picked decks that were about creation and love, and nature, which I think is very in keeping with her prophecy, because it's very reminiscent of abundance and contentment in the things that are our very basic needs, finding contentment in the beautiful land, the fair foreshore, thinking, looking out of your window, going outside in the sunshine and thinking, aren't the trees beautiful? Isn't the sea wonderful? I love being in these places. And she's asking us to go to those places, but it also is reminiscent of foraging and trees laden with nuts and fruits, and having summer and winter, she says, having warmth in the dark and cold times, having shelter and food in times where it might be less plentiful. And that's what she's asking us to manifest. It's not so much material things she's asking us to fight for, but more feelings and a feeling of settledness. That's what she's asking us to hold and battle for. And she's specifically using the word battle for it, fight for it. Almost like defend, people always say, oh, defend your energy. Morrigan's saying, defend your comfort, defend your safety, defend your boundaries, defend your contentment, defend your necessary rest to consolidate and heal yourself. Defend yourself and your sense of self and your sovereignty. Now, people are very keen on the word sovereignty at the moment, but I can't think of a better word for what the Morrigan wants us to use as our point of creation. It's our contentment. It's our sense of happiness we feel when we slip into clean sheets and a warm bed. That moment of, oh, that's our starting point, she says, to create from. And anything is possible at the moment because she's drawing our attention to the moment of creation has happened, and everything today is hanging in the air to be picked like fruit. So today is a day to really think about what makes you happy on a very basic level and orientate yourself completely from that point. Now, I'm going to pull some cards. She's drawing my attention, first of all, to this deck. This is the Vision Tarot by Angela Tubb. You can see why she's drawn me to it. You know, there is the eye of all, the universal consciousness, and, you know, the stars in the sky. It's not the void, but it is the primordial matter, she's saying, that we need to move from. So, okay, the Morrigan, what would you like to tell us on this subject? Okay. She has thrown a lot of things on the floor. So, let me have a look at what she's put. So, two of action. This is the two of wands. This is creation. This is creating. And this is the wheel of life. Now, those of you may know this as in the Rider-Waite as you know, the wheel of samsara, a closure and a beginning of it being fated. But I think you can see in this card that that's a universal consciousness. That's all our consciousnesses together. And this primordial sense of possibility. You know, you have the darkness and the light here balancing themselves, just as you know, Spirit was talking to us the other day about we aren't pure light or pure darkness, that actually our role of humans is to stand in the midpoint and walk the line of the midpoint and understand all. And this card is very reminiscent of that, of creating. And this is fiery creation. This is, you know, this is the smelting of the forge. This is the moment of magic, of making, of all possibility, because it's all there before you, which is exactly what she was drawing our attention to. But you see here, there's a butterfly. And the butterfly in so many cultures is a culture of is a symbol of transformation. It's a symbol of the soul being freed. In a lot of cultures, the butterfly is moving from our physical form into a non-physical form, often after death. However, here, there she's bringing in this sense of, she's saying to me, the Morrigan is saying choice. You must choose actively and fight for this future. You've got to create it, this transformation yourself now, to keep it in the forefront of your mind. This is the possibility. And I guess this brings in where we get this sort of sense of this forging, this being in a forge and, you know, melting everything together, smelting it. You know, it's hard work, it's hot and it's fiery, and it's not dangerous, you know, as such, because the blacksmith is someone who has all their tools and knows what they're doing. They're in control of it. But there is this slight element of playing with the elements, with chaos, but having confidence of being in control of it. The Morrigan is saying to me that we know what we're doing. You've got this. But this is very much a call to action, which is what she was saying about this fight for it, battle for it. Today is the day, and often these conjunctions in the sky are the beginning point of the energy. And it can go on for up to 2 years after that. So she's saying to me, use it as a springboard. Use today's alignments as a springboard to smelt, she's saying, to smelt the future that you want, both physically, but more metaphysically, because it's more important you knowing what makes you happy on a very basic level and not just making more of it, but getting rid of that doesn't, that is going to create, not you, going out and applying for that job or whatever. She said, yes, that's important. But what's more important is this defense of self, she's saying. And she's very keen to say those two cards go together. She wants them to be read together, not as a process. They are the point to move forward from. Then we've got the Two of Cups. This is working together. Again, there's this sense of coming together. I always think of the Rider-Waite Two of Cups. They're almost saying cheers with two cups, aren't they? And this again, this is bringing together the polarities. This is having a sense of understanding for the other side, and recognizing that you don't necessarily like the other side of things, and of how other people run their lives, but understanding potentially that there's a reason why they are in that place. And that they too are in this point. She's saying to me now, they too are at this point of creation. They too have exactly the same potential today as you do, to create what they want. And that's up to them, she is saying. And not to fret about other people's choices, to focus solely on retaining this sense of comfort within yourself. And again, there is the Six of Wands here, this action, this sense of you have, there's this blacksmith, there's this smithing vibe coming out constantly with the Morrigan today, of you've got the skills, now put them to use with the primordial matter. It's very creative. But again, this is the Ten of Pentacles. That is the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Matter. That is manifestation. That is your legacy. That is, in the card in the Rider-Waite, that's their everything. They've got, a lovely house in the background. The tower is intact. There's children there. There's old men there. There's money there. There is dogs in it. It's having got everything you desired. Now, I think it's interesting that in this card, he's doing what she brought our attention to. He is sitting in nature. He's by the sea. He's looking at that beautiful foreshore. He's contemplating. He's a man who is on a sunny day, in that moment of bliss, in that moment of comfort. He's sitting there going, he's just in a shorts and trousers. He's not got a crown on. He's not got armor. He's not surrounded by piles of gold. There's not even, well, there is a house, but it's a shack on a jetty overlooking the sea. This Ten of Matter, this Ten of Pentacles, the Morrigan wants us to appreciate what truly makes us happy, and it's not stuff. It is, she's bringing to my attention being on holiday. She's talking about this being like a hut on stilts on a beach in the Maldives. She's saying there's a reason why you go on holiday places like that. And because that feeling it gives you, that breath, that sigh, that she's calling it a release, that moment of that's the moment that she's asking you to recognize and move forward from. And you're and to create more of that. So that is your manifestation. That is what you need to manifest, is more in your life, the Morrigan is saying. And she's put out 3 cards together now. Now there is the Page of Psyche, that's the Page of Swords. That can be a truth coming to light, but this Page of Swords is specifically about education, about learning truths. She's drawing my attention to core truths, what truly makes you happy, exactly what she's been talking about, understanding self from the most basic level, non-material, she's saying. What makes you happy, contented, and safe on the most basic level. That is your standpoint today. And then we've got, this is the Queen of Pentacles, the Queen of Matter. It's the guardian of matter in this. This again recalls her prophecy of the abundance of the fruits on the trees. And again, that's being grateful, isn't it, for having food on, all around you, of the marvel of the natural world. And then we have the Chariot. So if we look at this from moving forward, the Chariot is being in control. And there's this horse energy as well. It's been coming up so much for me and for everybody else. There's creating your own abundance from your core truth, not manifesting stuff, manifesting contentment and safety and happiness, and not just manifesting it, forging it from your soul, because it is all around you right now, and seeing it. Is it sitting in your garden in the sunshine? Is it going to the woods? Is it just looking at the clouds and breathing? Is it the trees? Going to that place within yourself and creating from that point. And the underlying card in that she's brought out is the Eight of Cups. Oh, better cover that up. The Eight of Cups, the Eight of Desire in this deck. Now, in the Rider-Waite, that's walking away. But it's walking away from cups. So it's walking away from materialism, commercialism, she's saying. She's drawing my attention back to the phone. This can be a symbol of the pinnacle of commercialism. If you think about, she's saying, if you think about the materials that's used to make it, the what's it called, like precious earth, or the minerals that are used to make it, you can think about it in the sense of we're decimating the earth in order to make something that connects us to all. But she's saying that materialism is not going to make yourself happy. Yes, you need somewhere to live. Yes, you need somewhere to live that makes you happy because that affects your soul. Yes, you need food on the table. Yes, you need a warm bed. Yes, you need she's talking about having that, but she's talking about orientating yourself into a place where you have that from the very essence of what makes you happy and to walk away from the things that don't. Not just walk away from the things and people that don't make you happy, but walk away from building your life from a materialistic standpoint, building your life. She's saying taking second best, taking what you're given. She's saying no, no now. Don't just take what you're given, take what you deserve. Now, that's easier said than done if you're having problems, but what she's, financial problems or, emotional problems, mental health problems. But what she's saying is, if you start to orientate your whole life from your very basic needs, every decision being made on what makes you feel that, and if it doesn't make you feel that, it's a no, then she's saying you will achieve that because the next card is the sun. I mean, this is the best card in the deck. And the sun, in a sense to me, is again creation. It's almost pouring out. It reminds me of Maki Maki in astrology, the asteroid that makes births more and more and more and more souls. There's this sense of self-perpetuating happiness if you make a pact with yourself. She's saying a pact with yourself to make all future decisions from a sense of your own contentment. She says it's not selfish, it's essential. That's very interesting. And then she's also drawn my attention here to the Ten of Desire. This is the Ten of Cups. So we've got two tens. These are the the pinnacle of manifestation in the deck. It is emotional contentment and material contentment being one. And obviously also then there's this love and flowers. There's this contentment in nature vibe today, appreciation for it, of the beauty of it, of what it provides. It's sustenance, she's saying, the sustenance of nature. So now she's drawn my attention to the Ten of Cups. What the Morrigan wants me to now pick up on is the Mary Magdalene Oracle by Megan Watterson. I've got the book there because I don't use this one this often. Okay, did you want to tell us, the Morrigan, out of this? What did you want to tell us out of this deck? Okay. Just two cards have come out. Okay, and it's very fitting. The first card is the Christ energy, and this is not just Jesus in the Christian thing. It's the golden light. The Christ light is the sum of all the different lights. It's like you're holding the rainbow in the palm of your hand. It's the golden light that comes through. It's the universal light. It is, if you've ever meditated and felt that sense of utter bliss, that and love that you've never felt before. I think some people call it a heartgasm. That is the Christ light. And love knows only mercy. So again, the Morrigan is drawing us back to seeing the polarity, seeing both sides, seeing people who we don't agree with, who might upset us, but understanding where they're coming from, but still having that strength to distance ourselves from it, of seeing it as their choice and not getting angry, not getting involved in it. And the second one is the second power. I trust what my soul desires. This is Mary Magdalene in the boat with her children, leaving the Middle East and going on to Spain and France, as some people believe that she did. And this is about having the courage to act on what your soul is saying to you. Many of us can tune to what makes us happy and what doesn't, what we're comfortable with and what doesn't, of recognizing what makes us feel uncomfortable. But the Morrigan's saying, but do you have the courage to act on it? Because that is what she's asking us to do. And that is, she's saying that is your divine purpose. She's also saying that is what you have to fight for now. And to have courage in it. This is the blessed action. The blessed action is what your intuition, your soul tells you to do at this time, and what brings you comfort. It's not about being selfish, she's saying. It's not about only doing things for yourself, because that impulse that you have might be when you're walking past a homeless person in the street to get out your wallet and give them all the cash you've got in there. Now, that's not selfish, but that's listening to your intuition. Whereas before you would have maybe thought, oh, I really want to do that, but oh no, I'll be embarrassed, or, no, it's about listening and to that spur of the moment thing, because that will bring you contentment. She's saying, imagine how good you'll feel after that type of thing. So she's talking about courage, which is why I think the Morrigan was talking very much today about it being a battle, because in order to live in a way that you prioritize self but are not selfish takes courage. She's saying, she's drawing me to the underlying card, and it is the card 7. This is the card of meditation. It is vision comes from within. That is exactly what she was talking about. Creating from self. You are the blacksmith. You are in the forge. That's what she's saying. You can make anything as long as you make it from this nodal point of self. And if you look at this person, meditating, learning meditation, she's got all her chakras lit up. She's got a halo. She's got the Christ light behind her. That in itself is a skill to learn. But when you have that, you always have that, even if you've had a break. It's like riding a bike. And this is what the Morrigan is saying, that once you get into the groove of understanding that what she's talking about, and practice, she's saying practice making decisions from that core point, and you'll be aided today. She's saying you'll be aided by the astrology because of Jupiter being with the dog star, and with your North Star, she's saying, and with chaos. So you've got all the material things that you need in order to create that. And Pythia, the oracle, knowing thyself. Even if you don't know the end point, trusting and feeling excited about the journey, because that is the point. She's saying, you know, you don't get on a roller coaster and then just pull in and get off again. She's saying, she's drawing my attention to that. The thrill is in the ride, she's saying. And you can now completely trust and go forward, practice going forward from this point, and you will make this amazing journey for yourself. She's saying, even with everything going on in the world, she's saying, because you are able to change it, and you won't change it if it's not on your path by going out and doing something about it. You'll change it. It will change around you, she's saying, when you're moving from this point. And she's drawing my attention to the next card, which is the heart. I carry a cathedral within me. So there's your potential. You have everything you need to move forward from the heart. You know, she's echoing what so many gurus and guides have been saying at the moment, but she's specifically drawing our attention to the fact that this is the first stepping stone today of that point. Right, and I'm now going to move on to the Celtic Shaman's book, the Celtic Shaman's Tarot. These she has asked me, let me tell you who they're by. They are by John Matthews. She's drawing my attention to these now. She wants me to pull one of these. Okay, Morrigan, what would you like? Which card would you like out of this deck? Is there anything else you'd like to add? Because there's lots of, you know, reiteration of the message about this point of creation and this potential. This one, the stag, card 22. You've got the sun there again. You've got that halo. Believing in yourself, believing in your own divinity. And that always makes me think of Gwynap Nuith. Always. But again, this is about protection as well. You know, the stag protects its herd. Let me just read you what the stag card says, because I don't want to miss. See, 22 is very interesting as well, because it's a double number, isn't it? The number of creation. Those of you who do numerology will be able to tell me what 22 is. We had the card 7 before, didn't we? That's a sacred number in Hinduism, many others. So the sacred numbers coming up as well. And actually, if I look at the sun card that came up, that's card 19. And if you add those together like you would in numerology, that makes 10, that makes 1. That is the first stepping stone after creation, which is exactly what she's talking about. So the stag card is the card of strength. She says, in Celtic tradition, the stag represents strength, virility, and freedom of the woods. So it's roaming in nature, feeling, well, there's this sense of you being in control now of your creation. The stag is a powerful ally to have when journeying into the other world or facing problems that require strength and stamina. The symbolism of the hunt is important here and may be seen as perhaps representing the sequence of death and rebirth. So again, there's an end and a beginning. This is a beginning point. We are now moving into a beginning point. But there is this sense of when the Morrigan is bringing up this sense of strength and courage and battle, it isn't because there's conflict. It's because you need to believe in yourselves. Having confidence and strength and full belief in yourself, like the stag. Normally this would be protection, But this is the stag standing alone in his own quiet strength. That's what the Morrigan would like us to see. And she's brought out the woodward as well. Now, the woodward is someone who lives at one with nature. He's almost like the Green Man. He's almost like a shaman dressed in furs. He understands nature. He appreciates its nature, the nature of nature. Its core. Again, there's this primordialness coming up again of this, understanding the brutality and the glory and the potential of all of it, understanding that there is potential in all things, even if they seem unkind or negative. And there's this sense of standing in the center of the polarity and not being on either side of it, which is what Gwyn ap Nuith has been bringing to us loads recently. And then we have the Mound of Wonders. Now, I've never got this card before, so I'm going to read this one because this is obviously looks like a burial mound. But what's interesting is when I see the energy of the phone, I just see a black void shaped like a door when I look at a phone energetically. And this has a void made of light. Potential. I love that. So let me have a look and see about this card because I've never got this card before, so it's quite exciting. So this represents all the elements and the empowerment of Earth. So this is what she's talking about. This potentiality is enormous at the moment. So really make a point to create and to decide from which point you want to create, not materially, because there's this vibe of massive potential at the moment. It says, I'll hold the card so you can see it. The Mound of Wonders gives access particularly to the realm of earth and inner earth. So there's that sense of going within and understanding self as well. It provides a solid foundation from which to begin an exploration. That is what she's talking about. Fantastic. Know thyself. That's what Gwyn and Merlin said the other day, wasn't it? Especially those that lack a strongly grounded dimension. This card has marked associations with Rhiannon, Arwen, and Ellen. Now that's interesting because Rhiannon came out of the underworld to live in our world. So there's this sense of other world being within our world. Again, this sense of there being no longer a distinction. She was on a white horse as well. So there's this horse analogy happening. But there's this sense now that there isn't a separation between other world and us. It's like the veil's gone. Is that what you're saying, Morrigan? Yes, the veil's gone. All the elements are here now. You don't have to go elsewhere to find them. You don't have to journey to find them. She's saying they're here. You can pick them like fruits, she's saying. Now, Arwen, or Arone, is the Welsh goddess of battle and fighting for what you believe in. So that's very Morrigan-esque, isn't it? And Ellen of the Ways. You follow her ways. She is the goddess of the deer trods, and the deer trods. If you haven't watched my video before about the deer trods and Ellen of the Ways, the deer trods are, if you're ever out in a field or in the woods, and there's somewhere where there's not a path because it's impassable, and yet there's a little path that animals have trodden down. That's a deer trod. And they're also the energetic lines that were created by the migration of the reindeer when we were still joined to the European mainland and the sort of Canadian mainland here in Britain. So where the boreal forest went all the way from sort of Finland and Norway and Russia, right the way across into what is now Scotland and into now what is now parts of northern Canada. And those lines, almost like ley lines, were created as well. And so this card speaks of anything you can imagine being possible, having courage to dig in, she's saying, dig in and hold that in your heart and envisage it. And then just follow it. There's this sense of this dog star element, this following the path of the stars, like the three wise men, that, that once you hold that position, the path will open up before you. You will see that that animal path metaphorically, and you can follow it. It's like it's been scored for you, like the way will be lit up. And look at the brightness of that doorway, of the potential, pure potential of it. Absolutely fantastic. Right. So that's a brilliant message from the Morrigan, isn't it? It's quite exciting. She wants you to be excited about this. So I might channel her now, but I probably, because this video is a bit long, I probably won't add it onto this one. I'll probably put it separately. So I hope that you can focus on yourself and what makes you happy, even if you have to make a list of things that are basic, that make you happy, that are non-material, and then move forward from that point. And let me know in the comments how things move forward for you.